Now, Jason, obviously there is large deficits from the misspending. Going in, I know you've mentioned this before about the job that the next mayor is going to have going in, right? So, what are some of the things that, as far as generating revenue to fill in those holes, what are some of the first things that you would say, things that you might either liquidate or things to generate income? Obviously, it's going to be cuts, right? Things like the security detail, things we never saw in a town of
He
20,000
shouldn't need
people.
none.
So, but what are some like major cuts and or revenue generating things would you say are kind of top of the list coming in those first 60, 90 days, you would say off the bat, just for residents to understand?
Well, I would first say I think you've done very well because you've already hit on the the low hanging
Right.
fruit, and you took that off the table for me because the inefficiencies in government are the biggest key, and I think that's a way that we get down to the bottom line. In terms of revenue generation, there are partnerships that we feel that we've already formed with some state legislators, with county officials that can provide some grants. Additionally, the economic development component that we talked about is going to be
Yeah.
critical, and I mean very critical to get retail driven businesses, because those retail driven businesses also generate sales tax revenue that can come back into the village of Dalton as well. And then getting those businesses back active and on the tax roll will be another tax base, because every time if you see an abandoned business in our community, more likely than not, that's also property tax revenue that we're not getting.
Absolutely.
So the economic development component of it is so critical to making sure that we're able to maximize on the revenue. And if we can get the property tax values leveled off and maybe even decreased, we might be able to collect more, because as property taxes go up, our collection rates go down. So we can't just keep on saying, well, we're just going to raise taxes. I mean, at a certain point, people are going to say, I can't afford it. And raising taxes will have a counter effect to your bottom line.
Right. And what about the
Sure.
businesses that Tiffany has been erased that? Let me start the question again. What about the businesses that the mayor-elect have failed to give their license to, that are taking her to litigation? Once you, because we're going to just call it how it is, once you come into office, um, in your first 6 months, you'll have people that are probably going to reapply for their business license, the ones that were denied. So, like, do you plan on making them a priority before you work with other business owners, or like, how does that process look for you guys?
Yeah, God willing, when that day comes, we I would say that I feel that this is a challenge that the board has actually already worked to
Okay.
remedy. So when you look at some of the previous board meetings, you've seen that the board has implemented an ordinance that says that the board is allowed to take a majority vote and issue the business
Right.
licenses. We've also been able to now partner with some of the employees that have been receptive to change, or receptive to, or feel comforted that their job is
Right.
protected. So the business licenses being issued has become much less of a
Okay.
problem in the last 3 months than it had been previously. We passed the ordinance of Mayor Pro Tem, which allows for myself to sign off on documents if the mayor refuses to move forward on an initiative that the board has properly approved. So it gives us some legal standing to move things forward. So I don't anticipate the backlog
Okay.
to be very intense, because of efforts that we've already taken. I always pause because I get the benefit of being the senior trustee, or maybe kind of being the sometimes
Mm-hmm.
spokesperson. So I got to give appreciation to my colleagues on the
Absolutely.
board for any trust that that they have in me speaking, as I talk about, of course, Trustee Tammy Brown, Trustee Brittany Norwood, Trustee Kiana Belcher, former trustee, so he doesn't have voting rights right now, but still is part of the
Yes.
team, is Edward Steve. Clerk Allison
Yeah,
Key.
the best clerk
And
ever.
so, right. And when we talk about
And Eris,
initiatives
don't
that
forget her.
deputy
Yes.
clerk, oh man, there's so many powerful people.
Yes.
So when I talk about what we are doing, or things that we've been able to put in place, and the teamwork that we've shown, I think that's what's going to demonstrate that we really can change the culture, because people see how we work together in board meetings when one individual is not
Woosah.
present. You can see the difference
I pray
night
for
and
you
day.
guys all
You
the
see the
time.
ability for, yeah, and you see the agendas are
It's set up.
we're five individuals. You know that of course we don't always agree with one
No.
another, but we understand, we recognize the things that we're ready to move forward at one point in
Mm-hmm.
time, and the things that we're not ready to, we don't have a full agreement, we don't present that in front of the
As you should
community.
not.
Right.
And so the business licenses moving forward, that's just one initiative that I think we've done collectively to make sure, to demonstrate that we're willing to work together. We're already taking items. I mean, we talked about our platform, the 5 points that I mentioned. But if you listen to a lot of campaigns, most of the things I've said, everybody says they're going to do.
Right.
I think that not only are we talking about it, but I can point to different moments, this with the business license, where we're actually demonstrating today, this is what we
Yeah.
are doing, and we can only be
The
better
fire department, you
with more
guys
support.
got their contract done when the current elect mayor couldn't fulfill their obligations. I actually spoke with, it's funny, I did a CPR class with the fire department. I don't know if you know that, but
No, I
yeah,
didn't.
and I spoke with them, and they were praising you guys to all high. Like, they were so excited that the contract finally got approved, and it didn't take you guys long to get in there and do the work for the firefighters. Now, I heard that she took them to court to try and actually amend it and take it away, which is sad, because why would you want to do that to the people that are pretty much our first line of defense? Like, anything happens, they're the first responders. And we need the firefighters in our neighborhood, in our community. And for you to just try and undo something because you didn't do it, that is just, it's embarrassing, because their families don't deserve it. And they definitely didn't deserve it. So I give you guys the biggest kudos, the biggest utmost respect, applause, because you guys got, and
Appreciate
they were so happy
100%.
that you guys were able to do that. Now, let me ask you one question. The bank account, right? So I know that you guys
it.
got a new
Okay.
bank account. Now, is it
Yes.
as good as the other one, or will you guys try and switch back once she's out of office?
I think that, well, it's as good as the other one. As surprising as it may sound, changing the account, Dalton has a over 20 bank
Okay,
accounts. For separated, to separate funds, you got
understandable.
TIF funds, MSP funds, the clerk's account, general operating accounts. So there's more than 20 different accounts. You got direct deposits going into some of those accounts. You got automatic payments coming out of some of those accounts. That process is actually just nearing its conclusion, and that's been about a 4 or 5 month process to get the account switched over, to make sure that we do it in a way that we don't miss out on any of the money that's supposed to be coming in,
Right,
and that the payments coming out have been done, have also been notified, so that nobody bounces back that
right.
unintentionally. So that, yeah, the new bank, we are grateful for them taking us
Mm-hmm.
on, because with all of the media attention, Dalton, things that seem like it would be normal, Dalton does not become the most desirable or municipality to do
No,
business with. So we're grateful to them. The services seem extremely comparable to the previous bank. And so, it's just one of those things we have to do to move
right.
forward.